Hi, James here for Full-Time Devils. Have just seen United draw 1-1 with Spurs in what was actually kind of disappointing in a way. I think going into it, like a lot of people, thought United were probably quite comfortable in terms of being favourites. I thought probably with a pretty decent chance in terms of, if you look at the previous game that we had going into this, we won that pretty comfortably. I thought if you compared the players that we've got compared to Spurs', I thought we had a pretty decent chance going into it, and it looked like that was going to be the case inside the first 10-15 minutes when we had a couple of really decent chances, and Rashford had that good opportunity later on in the first half. But we were all over Spurs really, and I think it was a bit of a shame really that we didn't take the lead, and we were dominating them. We were pressing them really far into their own box, and then just against the run of play, they take the lead in probably quite a unfortunate way for United. But I think really De Gea should have done a lot better there. I mean, it was kind of straight at him. Same thing goes for Maguire, and it poses the question really as to whether Henderson should be playing instead of De Gea. But I think we should probably stick with De Gea for the time being. I know he's made a couple of poor mistakes this season, but I think the save afterwards actually was pretty good, and I think it's kind of on the contrary to what Roy Keane had to say at half time. I think he was probably being pretty critical of De Gea, and I think quite a few people were actually, because I think it was actually probably okay towards the end of that first half. I think the goal might have been his fault, but I'm not sure whether that was offside or not. But then in the second half, United come out, we're a different side. Spurs are basically playing that low block, and it becomes a training game really of attack versus defence. And unlike the first half, where it was very much a tired game, it was very much a lethargic game. It felt a lot like a training game really, in the sense that there was no fans in the stadium. It didn't really seem like anyone wanted it that much. It was a lot of sloppy passes. But in the second half, United came out, had a lot of chances. They started to press the ball a lot more. When Greenwood came on and Pogba came on, they started to stretch the play a lot more. They started to stretch it out wide, and we saw that with Greenwood right at the end. He had that chance, but they were beginning to sort of take players on, and we saw a glimpse of that Pogba Fernandes partnership, which looked quite exciting actually. And there was that chance that I think it was it Rashford that had it? I can't remember, but just went wide. But it was good to. It was Martial actually. But it was good to see that, and I think that's the problem that we're having. I mean, it was Martial that had that chance where if he leaves it an extra second like he did, he misses. But if he just took that chance maybe half a second earlier, it might have been a different game. But I think that's going to take a while to get used to that. The sort of players getting back used to things. Maybe they're going to be a bit sloppy in possession like we saw in the last sort of few minutes when everyone was sort of giving away the ball. But I think on the whole, we kind of have to be positive. So I think United played pretty well. I think maybe we might have deserved a winner if the game went on for another couple of minutes. I think we might have seen that. I think Pogba made a massive difference when he came on. I'm still going to back Solskjaer in the sense that I think it was the right decision in terms of not starting him. I'm not sure it would have really sent out the best message to the rest of the team if he just put Pogba straight back in there instead of, because he doesn't just guarantee his place in the first team, no matter how good he is as a player. So I think Solskjaer made the right decision in terms of leaving him out, because I think it would have sent the wrong message to the squad if he just put him straight in there. So I think he was right to give Fred a chance in midfield and McTominay. But I think, like I was saying before, when Greenwood came on, he made such an impact. And I don't think that's not a problem with Daniel James. I think he's a young lad, a bit like Greenwood as well. It's quite hard to sort of heap all that pressure onto him, and I think he's not been looking himself now for a couple of months, which is a bit of a shame, because when he first came, he was playing really well. He made his debut against Chelsea, but I think I'm not sure whether the pressure's got to him, but he just seems to be lacking in some sort of confidence. He doesn't seem to be taking on players like we first saw. He seems to be, not being able to put crosses in. A bit like Fernandes, really, those first couple of corners, but he managed to sort himself out in the end. And I think Fernandes is another positive thing going forward. He's probably our best player on the pitch in terms of creating chances, in terms of getting shots off. And I think that's a really positive thing we can look at going forward. And I think, like Pogba as well, that link-up was great. I mean, when Pogba came on, I was actually very happy with how he played. I mean, he just did what every United fan wanted him to do, which is sort of get on there, not make a fuss, and just sort of play well. And that's what we've been missing from Pogba recently, from the past sort of season or so, with all the controversy around Raiola and all the controversy surrounding his transfer. Maybe it has affected his playing style, but I thought today he played really well actually. He's just got his head down and just got on with it, and I think that's what every United fan wants him to do. If he just kept on doing that, then we wouldn't have any of this sort of circus that surrounds him. So I think he played really well. I think obviously he was at fault for the Spurs decision that gave us the penalty. I think there was that great pass he did into Rashford as well. I think he's just playing really well throughout the game, and it's great to see that, and hopefully he can continue that and just sort of stick on. But it was on the whole, yeah, pretty positive, I think, going into the next game. I think we've got Sheffield United. I think we should be able to win that. And yeah, maybe we probably did deserve the penalty just based on how many chances we had. But I think it was probably the fair decision. And I would have hated us to have won that based on that decision. That would have been the talking point instead of how well Pogba and Greenwood played. So yeah, 1-1, maybe a fair result. I think United probably deserved to win it in the end. But yeah, I'm not really too negative as much as some people are. It's just something you've sort of missed, really, everyone giving their opinion on Twitter and thinking they're experts during the game, which is everyone's got all sorts of different opinions about James and whatever, and Maguire and various other players. But yeah, it was interesting. Certainly, it'll probably take a while to get used to the no crowd as well. I think that might have affected the players as well.